So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have finally dropped, and me and my good friend and longtime Pokemon fan Swerby decided to experience the region of Paldea in the best way possible. With a race! Welcome to the first ever blind versus of Generation 9. The rules are simple, whoever beats the game first is the winner. However, there are some special limitations in the way to spice up the race. First of all, we're forced to use our starters all throughout the game. Secondly, any and all Pokemon we catch have to be nicknamed and we can use no more than 2 older generation Pokemon. We also have to be playing in the same world together at all times. And after every 50 real world minutes we come together to battle and the loser has to trade one of their Pokemon to the other player. That and many other rules in place means that the stakes are high and the pressure is on for either of us. But with that out the way, let's begin and let me tell you about my first day of going to school in Paldea. So my day started off with me in my room minding my business. After a while, I head downstairs to talk to my mom right before we get interrupted by someone at the door. This is Professor Clavel and he's one of the directors at the school I'll be going to. And after some small talk between him and my mom, I head back to my room to get my bag and my hat before heading outside to meet up with the prof again. Outside, the prof rates my fit and then pulls out 3 Pokeballs from behind him, giving me my first look at this generation's starter Pokemons. He then tells me to get acquainted with them and to meet up with him ahead, right as my mom calls me to give me my very own iPhone. As I pull up into the yard of a fancy manor, I'm greeted with this cool animation of the starters vibing out, as well as the introduction of this game's main rival, Nemona. After a bit of small talk, the prof allows me to finally pick my starter and I go ahead and choose Fuecoco. I call him Enfuego. From there, Nemona suddenly has the urge to battle and after picking her own starter, she decides to head off behind the manor with us in tail. Here she challenges me to my very first Pokemon battle, and like every rival before her, she got cursed off. So much for that smug attitude she had earlier. After the battle, the professor praises and lectures us on the importance of Pokemon and trainer bonds before letting us make our way to school. As we head out the manor, my mom catches up to us and gives me my packed lunch for the day. Putting my lunch away, Nemona and I make strides on our way to school, but along the way a loud noise catches our attention. Pulling up to a cliffside, a strange and helpless Pokemon catches my attention right as the cliff collapses under me and I fall to my death. Thankfully, I've watched enough Mario 64 speedruns to know how to ground pound cancel my fall damage and land safely in front of the Pokemon. Walking up to it, the Pokemon is hesitant but weak, as I decide to pull out my sandwich that my mom gave me not even 2 minutes ago and feed the strange creature. Mustering some strength, the Pokemon gets back up on his feet and walks into the cave with me following behind it. As we make our way through the cave, we get ambushed by a pack of Houndowers and a Houndoom. That bitch is my starter. Thankfully, we managed to escape thanks to Nemona and the Pokemon's quick thinking. From there, Nemona and I continue our way to school with weird Pokemon following behind us, and we meet up with this weird George of the Jungle Brandon Fraser looking motherfucker who tries my shit. Only to promptly get put on his fucking neck. The weird guy Dan conveniently hands over the Pokeball belonging to the strange Pokemon, and then I suddenly find myself in a cliche slice of life situation with Nemona on top of a lighthouse. Well, none of that really matters because finally, after a long trek, I finally get to meet up with another one of my classmates, my good friend Swerby, and we both make our way towards the entrance of the school. At the entrance, Nemona once again gets horny for a Pokemon battle and proceeds to get stomped out again. But not before cheating and using a gameplay mechanic that we don't even have access to. After exhibiting internalized misogyny by brutally beating her and preventing her from getting a dub, I make my way into the school's campus, with Nemona behind, where she tells me about the various amenities and places before running ahead. From there, my good friend Swerby decides that since we still have time before the first bell rings, we should have a Pokemon battle with each other. Now, my boy Swerby comes from the Sinnoh region, a region full of incredibly strong and talented trainers, so I wasn't honestly expecting much going into this battle. We both start off with Hoppip on my end and Paldea and Rupert on his. The battle presses on as we switch in and out of various Pokemon, but ultimately finishes with me taking out his Lechonk before he switches my Triple 5.
I'm already faster. Yeah, you're done.
Avenge me, Lechonk. go. Nice guy, nice guy. I'm out of here.
Yes. And you gotta trade me now. Your Diglett.
My dick. I don't need that shit.
Actually,
I got Big Whoop in the back. Yes, sir.
yeah, I think you need to take your Diglett because I can't take your starter. So
Take my Diglett. I got Big Whoop in the back. You got me. Having to adhere to the laws of the race, with my loss, I traded one of my mons to try to salvage my pride as much as possible by heading up the steps towards the main building. On the way up, I meet up with a strange girl getting harassed by a bunch of kids in helmets. Right as Nimona comes along and gives me my generational gimmick. Using this gimmick, I wash both trainers with the power of terrestrializing. Threatened by my ability to use in-game mechanics, I dust myself off before getting a quick rundown of who these kids were. Apparently they're part of a gang named Team Stars, whatever that means. And finally, after an eventful, somewhat weird beginning to this adventure, I made it to school. That being said, with a loss to my boy Swerby, this put me at quite a disadvantage in the race. But having finally made it to school, we were still both technically neck and neck, with the main part of the game starting soon.